Hey everyone, Jeff Campbell here of Middle Class Dad over at newmiddleclassdad.com. And here's another one of my traffic thoughts videos. These are just unscripted videos about me going off on a particular subject. They're not especially lengthy, and I just do these on my daily commute to and from work. And of course, I'm not actually driving at the time when I'm filming these. Today I want to talk to you about rekindling love. It's not important necessarily that you're married, but any type of long-term relationship, eventually the love can fade over time and diminish, and that passion can go away, and you're left with what could potentially be a kind of a stale, boring relationship. And I'm going to go off on my soapbox for just a second here and talk about, in our society today, we're conditioned to replace things that get broken. TV breaks, throw it away and get a new one. Coffee maker breaks, throw it away and get a new one. And back in our grandparents' day, that wasn't the case. You took the time, energy, and money and effort to fix something that was broken. And often that was cheaper and easier in the long run than just getting a new one. But today we're conditioned to replace things. And this is especially true of relationships. If our relationship isn't what we think it should be, we just get a new one. And that can be especially damaging to ourselves, and especially if we've got children in the mix. And that's not designed to make anyone feel guilty who's been divorced, who has kids. But I want you to really think about the long-term ramifications of working on your relationship and improving it, and how much better and stronger you can be as a person if you take the time to do that. And how do we do that? Well, in 2013, April specifically of that year, my wife and I were actively talking about getting divorced. Here we are, fast forward to 2018, and we just had our third daughter a couple of months ago. How did we do that? Well, we've done a number of things, including therapy, which I highly recommend for almost anybody. But specifically, there are three things that I want you to do if you find yourself in the situation where your relationship is just not what it used to be. After all, life conspires against us as couples. Kids come into the mix, careers come into the mix, responsibility, changing jobs, all kinds of things can conspire and eventually bump our marriage down to the last priority on the list. And it's great that we want to put our kids at the top of the priority list, but we also have to improve where our marriage or our relationship falls on there if we expect it to remain good. Anything worth doing requires effort, focus, and daily commitment. You want to be a concert pianist? You've got to put in the practice. You've got to put in the hours. You've got to make an effort every day to show up for that. And eventually you see yourself improve to the degree where you become a concert pianist. We can't just set and forget our marriage and expect it to thrive. It just doesn't work that way. That doesn't mean it has to be grueling or unpleasant, but it does require effort. So I mentioned three things. There's three things I want you to do for your marriage starting today. One is I want you to work on listening empathetically. That means setting the phone down, turning the TV off, looking your spouse in the eyes, and really putting yourselves in their shoes. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? Don't just wait your turn to talk. The next thing I want you to do is make time every week to do something with your spouse. It doesn't have to be an expensive date night. It just needs to be a moment where you're not on your phones, the kids aren't around, you're just talking together and connecting. That intimate connection of and I'm not talking anything sexual, just connecting with each other. You're looking in each other's eyes, maybe you're enjoying a glass of wine after work, you're just connecting with them. And the last thing I want you to do is to give your spouse the benefit of the doubt. All too often, especially if we're feeling conflict, we jump to all sorts of conclusions about why our spouse might be saying or doing something, instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt. In theory, this is the most important person in the world to us. So why in the world do we jump to terrible conclusions with no evidence, instead of really just trusting them and giving them the benefit of the doubt and asking questions if we're concerned about something and letting them explain themselves? Maybe they have made a mistake, and guess what? We all do. That's okay. Forgiveness is a big part of marriage, but let's start by giving them the benefit of the doubt instead of jumping to terrible conclusions. So I want you to do those three things and see if they don't cause some immediate improvement in your relationship. I know they can. And if you can get your relationship to improve a little bit, then that means you can get it to improve a lot. And that's my traffic thoughts for the day. Thanks for being here.